Oliver Twist, Little Dorrit, Great Expectations, A Christmas Carol. Everyone has their favourite Charles Dickens novel. Dickens was born 200 years ago today and remains one of the greatest writers of English. While times change, his fans argue the works are as relevant today as they ever were. Rebecca Bailey reports.
Chapter 1. In Chancery. London. Michaelmas term lately over, and the Lord Chancellor sitting in Lincoln's Inn Hall. Implacable November weather. As much mud in the streets as if...
The opening chapters of Bleak House is Dickens at his most Dickensian. He's totally confident. He's bursting onto the page.
Waddling like an elephantine lizard up Holborn Hill.
He's setting the scene and pulling you into the story immediately.
With his slipshod heels and threadbare dress, borrowing and begging through the round of every man's acquaintance. Which gives
Read by Dickens aficionado Miriam Margolyes, Bleak House was first published in 1852 and has never been out of print since.
Patience, courage, hope.
It's just one of the enduring classics by Charles Dickens, who 200 years after his birth is still considered to be one of the greatest writers ever.
Sits the Lord High Chancellor.
He is the best writer of prose in the English language. A demonic, disturbed genius.
The stories are riveting, the characters are arresting, the local colour is fabulous.
Charles Dickens was born in England in 1812, when George III was king. When his father was sent to jail, the young Dickens worked in a blacking factory to support his poverty-stricken family. Beginning his writing career as a reporter, Dickens' great strength lay in his social observations of Georgian and Victorian Britain.
The betrayal of man and woman, the misery of poverty, the depravity, the way that government doesn't work, the people who are cruel, deceitful, they're all still there. So everything that he wrote about is utterly relevant today.
A bleak summer's day hasn't deterred this committed band of Dickens fans from gathering at Sydney's Centennial Park on his birthday. And while they're united in their love for Dickens, they each have their personal favourite work.
We are here to make money, not to spend it.
Well, I loved Great Expectations because I studied it at university years ago, but...
I like, the dark, bleak house. Yeah, strange.
Oh, it'd have to be Bleak House. It's a very engaging book.
Oliver.
Of course, Oliver.
You got to pick a pocket or two, you got to pick a pocket or two, boys. You got to pick a pocket or two.
I first read Oliver Twist when I was 11 at school.
Let's show a living how to do it, my dear.
And I was completely hooked on it immediately. I love crims, I love all that stuff. And of course, being Jewish, I was fascinated because of Fagin. But whereas I had thought that being Jewish was something rather wonderful, here was this oily Oliver, my dear. This nasty, slimy Jew. And I thought, hang on a second, that can't be right. But gradually, the coupling of evil and comedy together made him irresistible. And I thought, I love this way of working.
Clear, attack the rear, get in and pick a pocket or two, you got to pick a pocket or two.
Rich folks may ride on camels, but it ain't so easy for 'em to see out of a needle's eye.
British character actress Miriam Margolyes is a Dickens specialist. In her one-woman show Dickens Women, Miriam Margolyes performs scores of Dickens characters. While she's clearly passionate about the author's works, she's quick to point out that Charles Dickens was no saint and was uncomfortable with women.
He didn't really have a fully rounded relationship with a grown-up woman. And his sexual taste was, frankly, a little worrying because he liked the prepubescent. He liked the young girl, aged 17, with no breasts. He would have hated me.
He was really quite appalling, the way he treated his wife. I think he did have a lot of hang-ups and problems, but I don't think that really matters when we look at the books. It's his creation, what he gave us in those books, that now matters.
This one is the very rare Launceston edition of Pickwick Papers. There's only 2 known copies of this in the world.
Senior curator at the New South Wales State Library, Paul Brunton, says that Dickens had a special relationship with Australia, and that even though he never visited, Dickens wrote about the distant colony as a utopian land of hope and opportunity.
He had this view of Australia as a place of redemption, a place of the fair go, a pastoral society, which very much became Australia's view of itself.
Fog lying out on the yards and hovering in the rigging of great ships.
Dickens' disciples believe there are many reasons to celebrate the bicentenary of the author's birth, not the least of which is to encourage modern readers to rediscover the classics.
Well may the fog hang heavy in it, as if it would never get out. I hope people will go back to the books and read them. The way to read Dickens is to read him aloud. Most pestilent of hoary sinners holds this day in the sight of heaven and earth. Wacko, chaps. That's prose.
I just conducted a quick poll of the crew, and they can't nominate their favourite Dickens novel. I trust that means they love them all. Rebecca Bailey with that report.